What is up, YouTube? What is up, Canada? Matt here, and today I want to chat with you guys about overnight success. So this is something that's just near and dear to my heart. I think it's something that a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs understand the concept of overnight success and the fallacy behind it because it really doesn't exist. But what really inspired this whole conversation I want to have with you guys today is earlier today, myself and my camera crew, we went down and shot some videos with Kasey and Jed Wong. You guys know Kasey Wong. A lot of you guys love Kasey Wong, love the videos that we've done with Kasey. And recently they just have been able to move into kind of their dream house. So for the last, let's call it 2 decades. I'm going round slightly up, but essentially for the last 20 years, they've been very focused, working very hard, and they've been diligently building a business empire, a real estate empire. And it's very inspiring. But at the same time, it's just fascinating to talk to them and, their lack of interest in flexing their success or the results of their success or the rewards they're able to take from it. And yet, we were juxtaposing that against maybe other people on social media, other people that have either had success or at least have the appearance of success, and just the vast differences in mindset there. And, first, I'm going to give some context to the overnight success story that is Kasey Wong, and then I'm going to kind of pair that to myself. And if you guys follow Gary Vee, you know that that's a subject matter he regularly talks about as well. And when we're talking about Kasey, his overnight success story looks like, I think back in 2003, if I remember correctly, is when they started investing in real estate. And then 2005, 2006 is when they really started going into it in a big way. And so based upon that, looking at where we are today, that's 15, 16 years, guys. And it's just shocking to me how fast people want success. And, I even see it on my team at this stage where people may join our team and want a vacation within the first 3 months. And not throwing shade at people per se, but it's shocking to me. And it's honestly jarring because it's such a different mentality than the mentality I was coming at from this perspective. So for me, I knew that I was going to have to become the traditional overnight success, which means it was actually going to take decades to become an overnight success. That's my entire philosophy with YouTube, right? No overnight success is occurring here, guys, but yet I'm diligently cranking out content and reinvesting every penny I can into creating more content because I believe in the thesis that attention is currency. And it's actually an undervalued currency, in my opinion. So I'm happy to keep doubling down on that business model and count on success being on the other side of all this effort and work. And so when I look at Kasey and Jed, their house is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. 14-foot high ceilings. They've got a living wall. Just the glass and the line of sight. Their designer was just, I think, second to none. Basement, wine cellar, just fantastic. It's beautiful. I don't want to share too much because they are private people. So we don't really have any photos or anything to share with you guys. But trust me when I say just really well done, very tasteful. But at the same time, what people wouldn't see if they were to watch the Cribs tour of Kasey and Jed's home right now is what led up to that. So where were they living right before they moved into this beautiful home, over 4,000 square foot home? Oh, right. Them. So the two of them, their 4 kids and a large dog were living in an 800 square foot apartment. 800 square feet, right? There's a lot of people whose kitchens and living rooms are more than 800 square feet. And they had a 6-person family living in that apartment while they're building their dream home and also a large dog. And they don't even really see that, obviously there's an element of sacrifice here, but they're not viewing it through the lens of oh, poor us, what a cross for us to bear. In fact, this is just them doing them, right? This is living life on their terms. And when I was talking to Jed, she mentioned friends are why didn't you guys rent out a single family house and live there? And she's like, I don't know. Why would we? Why not save? And I think there's even something even more wonderful about that. Think about the change. How wonderful would it have felt moving into that beautiful house that you've designed, that, the last 20 years you've been working on and towards, and now you're able to almost 5x your living space. That would just be a night and day difference. And I totally can appreciate that. And looking at, even before they were building their dream house, their previous house they lived in for, 15 plus years. Well, yeah, that house, they only lived on the main floor. It was a bungalow in Toronto. And then they rented out the basement apartment. Again, with 4 kids, a dog, full family. It's crazy to think. And yet I see so many people that get frustrated when they don't make six figures in the first 3 months of being in business, right? We've shared in the past that when Kasey and Jed really jumped into scaling their portfolio, they jumped into the Hamilton real estate market without necessarily knowing the exact neighborhood they were getting into. If I remember correctly, I think the intersection was like Main and Gage. At that point in time in the earlier mid-aughts, it was a tough neighborhood. And it turned out it actually ended up being a loser for them, an investment. And they actually lost, if I remember correctly, almost $500,000 on it. They had to dip into their own RSPs in order to bail out their money partners because they wanted to make sure that they kept their reputation. And this is something that people that are focused on becoming true overnight successes, as in decades in the making of this success. I really think we all are obsessed with our reputations. We wouldn't trade it. We're not going to burn our email list. We're not going to just sell out for one great affiliate link. It's not worth it because we're all in the long game and we see the value in building these empires. In fact, even just on the drive home, we were listening to a podcast, Masters of Scale, with Reid Hoffman, and he was talking about Virgin and the fascinating concept of keeping the company brand and being able to apply it to other things. So when Virgin has sold off different aspects of its business, it was able to still keep its brand. And Reid was saying if he could go back in time and redo things with LinkedIn and Microsoft, he probably would have tried to have kept the LinkedIn brand. And again, it's just fascinating to me because I think a lot of these overnight successes, we're all obsessed with keeping our brand, keeping our reputation sterling. And again, this is something Gary Vee has talked about all the time, his overnight success. I can remember seeing Gary Vee way back, I think in 2012 on the Dig Nation show. Way before he was really Gary Vee. He was Gary Vaynerchuk still back then, right? I don't even know if he was really using Gary Vee back then. And he was the wine library guy. And again, as I look towards building out different content streams, different businesses and things of that nature, I know that doubling down on doing the right thing, on focusing on being an overnight success is key. But I just want to put this into perspective because it never makes for really sexy motivational videos or great memes. Just being if you just work hard at something for 10 years, I almost guarantee you'll become successful at it. There's not very many true guarantees in life. And that's actually one of the closer ones that there is. And it's a mindset. It's a life philosophy that I think is really rare these days. And it's very unfortunate. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, get your perspective, but also just remind all of us, regardless of who we're currently following on social media, even for myself, it's really easy to think at age 36 and naturally be comparing myself to entrepreneurs that are maybe mid 50s. Well, technically, they've had a couple more decades in front of me, right? And they might have even started a decade or two before me for all I know. And understanding that there's going to be time involved with this. You're going to have to actually roll up your sleeves and put in the hard work, spend the time and take the effort necessary. But anything worthwhile is worth putting effort into. And just when I see people thinking that our current real estate market isn't get rich quick enough for you, right now, almost anyone is a genius that's been buying real estate. If you don't think that this is the closest thing to get rich there is right now in this space, you're kidding yourself. If you can't make money in this market, I think it's going to be tough for you to make money in any market. But that actually holds true regardless of what market you're in, right? And I think that that's really the key to a lot of these overnight successes. You take Kasey Wong and you plant him in Vancouver instead of Toronto, I think he still turns out to be Kasey Wong. You plant him in Alberta or Saskatchewan or Quebec, I still think he turns out to be Kasey Wong and finds a path to success. The path probably looks differently, right? It's probably not the exact identical path, might not even be real estate oriented, but I really do trust that work ethic, the character, whatever you want to call it, that etherealness that is one's personality. I think that would carry you through it. And I think that would carry through Gary Vee. I'd like to think it would carry myself through, but it's also important to understand that all of us developed this, right? Kasey Wong developed it just working really hard and diligently for decades. Gary Vee worked really hard at his parents' wine store, right? I worked in restaurant kitchens and then started my own businesses. A lot of those failed. The vast majority of those failed. But eventually a couple of those failed less. And then a couple of those sort of succeed. And then a couple of those kind of succeed. And some of those are actually successful. And that's really the progression. All this is an iterative process. Any real success story is an iterative process. There's never a true just a 0 to 1, and that was the binary change. There's layers to it, there's levels to it, iterations, whatever you want to call it. But it's really important that we remind ourselves of this. I need to remind myself of it. I trust that you guys needed a reminder of it as well. So really appreciate you guys listening to me on this subject matter. And I'd love to hear in the comments, who is your favorite overnight success story? So someone that clearly earned their success, not someone who was gifted it. And even then, like, I know it's common these days to want to tear down people that maybe had an advantage, right? So like whether we're talking about someone that maybe just parents were middle income, or whether you're talking about like a Kylie Jenner. Either way, I think it's natural to want to tear down the success stories of those individuals, and yet understand that there's still a lot of people given that same hand, given that same situation, that don't go on to do anything with it. And it's important that you're developing the mindset. It's important that we develop the mindset and that we continuously have the mindset that this is an iterative process, that we need to invest in ourselves, right? The moment you're just trying to get rich without improving yourself, it's a fool's errand, in my opinion, because at best, you may actually get rich, but you're not going to understand how you did it. That's actually a complete waste of time, right? So magic tricks, silver bullets that are not replicatable, again, that one trick pony, there's no value in it. Whereas those of us that just diligently invest in ourselves, invest in our businesses, and trust in the process, and with, oh, we can see your screen, and with enough time, we can really just commit and refine the process, right? I view my entire life journey as just refining Matt McKeever. And while I was talking to Kasey and Jed, they were talking about some of the things they're interested in as well. So I think this is another aspect of those overnight successes. They're always curious. And so we were chatting a little bit about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Now, again, are Jed and Kasey about to drop everything and go all in on Bitcoin? No, I think it's pretty safe to say they're not going to do that. But are they curious because it's something that has captured just the collective consciousness, because it's in all the newspapers, because they hear other people talking about it? Yeah. And it's interesting to hear them also talk about, like, hey, if we had all the time, we would love to go research that stuff. And that's literally how I feel about just almost everything. There are so many opportunities in just every direction at this point in time. Like the internet, the world, the universe, despite all the crazy COVID, it's still pretty wonderful, all things considered. And I still would pick this time over pretty much every other time in known history. And it's important we keep that perspective as well, because I think you need that optimism to allow yourself to get through those iterations, right? You need to trust in the process and trust that if you commit and you put in the hard work like Kasey and Jed did, that 15, 20 years later, you can have that absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, designed exactly how you want it home, right? That fits exactly you and your family's needs, just like a tailored glove. And it's exciting to see this success, because you know what their success is? Their success is replicatable. It's repeatable. There's a system and a process behind it. It's not something where they just bought one e-course, or they did one trade, or they made one play and got rich. No, they've actually rode through real estate cycles already. And we were talking about the real estate cycles on the horizon as well. And again, it's one of those things where the individuals that are focused on just getting rich and not becoming a success, they're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking long-term. And those individuals really couldn't even pass the marshmallow test, right? This idea that if you sit down a toddler, put a marshmallow in front of them, say like, hey, I'm going to leave the room for a minute, and if you don't eat this marshmallow, I'll give you another marshmallow. We'll literally give you 100% ROI if you can hold this shit together for like 5 minutes, kid. And a lot of toddlers aren't capable of that. And it's naturally funny to think like, how could they not do that? And yet the moment we look at ourselves in the mirror through an honest lens, it's very obvious that a lot of us humans, and almost all of us in some aspect, right? So we talk a lot about money here, but it could be just as easy to point towards someone's health and be like, how could they not want to invest in themselves that way? Or point to someone's just like relationships, right? Like their network and their just connectiveness and their social capital, and be like, how could you not want to invest in that? Or look at their just knowledge base and their just ability to navigate basic society and be like, that's awesome that you're a genius, but you can't tie your shoes. How could you not invest the time to want to learn to tie your shoes? So we've all got blind spots. I get it. But I really do think it's important that we all aim to become financial overnight success stories, meaning that we put in the hard work, the due diligence, and build the systems and processes and develop the stamina to have that delayed gratification, right? To be able to pass the marshmallow test. That's going to allow you to save up some money and go invest it. And the key is that you also invest it. So again, Jed, Kasey, and I were talking about some of our peers, right? I'm a CPA, Jed's a CPA. We know a lot of CPAs. Some of them have gone the partner route. Some of them have started businesses. A lot of them are working in offices of varying degrees of success. And yet one thing that's really interesting is these individuals sometimes control millions, tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of dollars in financial transactions through the day job. And yet a lot of them actually just sit on mutual funds or cash in their personal lives. And it's just fascinating to see that they can be so professionally developed and yet on a personal financial level be so underdeveloped. And again, it's because they're not really thinking about the long-term future, or their version of the long-term future just involves their career and their title. And I mean, I've been saying this for a while, way before COVID came out, but even if you love your job can quit you. So it's not just about, us loving our job can actually quit or fire us as well. And if you didn't believe that, I'm sure COVID-19 has now taught all of us the reality is that the market is very dynamic, ever changing. Again, that to me is really the key to this concept of becoming an overnight success, of putting in the work and having the perseverance, the persistence just to commit to this, is that concept that even if it falls apart, we'll just pick the pieces up together again and figure a way to make something of it. Maybe it's not going to look exactly like what we had last time, right? Maybe we can't put Humpty Dumpty together exactly the same way, but because we've done it once, we're going to have the confidence to go and try and do it a second time. Where the person that was gifted their success, the person that actually became an accidental overnight success, they're going to be left void and empty. I haven't done any research on this. This just came top of mind, but I wonder with musicians, right? Those that pop off really quick and early in their career that become the one-hit wonders, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that some of that might be driven by the fact that success came too easy at the start, that they didn't learn the right feedback loop. And because of that, they weren't willing to put in the right amount of work to continuously get that feedback loop of success. Where the people that took 10, 20 years writing other people's songs, playing other people's music, doing other people's things in order to get their big break, I trust that through that process of getting their big break and becoming an overnight success, that they're going to be able to see it through to the other side. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you got some value from this. Again, love to hear who your favorite overnight success stories are. Let me know in the comments. And we've also got a new podcast that's going to be coming out soon. So pay attention for that. And let us know who our new overnight success stories that we should interview on the Problems or Profits podcast is. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.